I'd like to call the Canton Township Board meeting to order on December 8th at 7 p.m. Clerk Siegrist, can you please call the roll?
And please respond with I and then location, if you will. Borninski. Trustee Borninski, not here. Foster.
Good evening. I am in Canton Township at my home.
GANGULY.
My home in Canton Township.
Graham-Hudak.
I'm here. I am in the township offices.
Let the record reflect that Clerk Siegrist is in attendance and that he is at his home in Canton Township. Treasurer Slavens.
Good evening, and I am in my office in Canton Township.
And Sneideman.
I am here and I am in Canton Township, and also I should say that Trustee Borninski sends her regards. She's attending her very last school board meeting tonight.
Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I call for a motion to adopt the agenda with the addition of item G16, which had some changes since the packet was sent out. A motion was added also, and the intergovernmental agreement with Wayne County had some changes. So the RBA and attachment has been revised and sent out to the board, and it will be reflected in the minutes.
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board adopt the agenda as presented with item G16 having the modifications.
Support.
Okay, great. Clerk Siegrist, can you please have a roll call on the motion?
Foster.
Hi.
GANGULY.
You're on mute.
Mute.
GANGULY.
Bye, and I muted myself.
That's Graham-Hudak.
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens.
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Okay, the motion is a pass to approve the agenda. I now call for a motion to approve the minutes of the November 17th and 24th, 2020 meetings.
So moved.
Support.
The motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes of November 17th and 24th. Clerk Siegrist, can we please have a roll call vote on the motion?
Foster.
Aye.
GANGULY.
Aye.
Graham-Hudak.
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens.
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Great. So the motion of approving the minutes of November 17th and 24th has passed. Now on our agenda is the citizens' non-agenda items. Now we have a call for public comments. Is there any public comments on non-agenda items? We do have a hand from our attendee. If you're also on a cell phone, please hit *9 to raise your hand. You can also write into the chat room. We ask you keep your comments to 3 minutes long and state your name and address. Please direct your comments to me and we will take your comments as input. If we have an outstanding question, we will get back to you, and that's why your name and address is important. We do have one. So I believe it's under Marcy McCausland. Oh, we're on mute. He's on mute.
Here we go.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, my name's Daniel McCausland. I'm using my wife's iPad because I'm using my other iPad to follow the agenda.
Okay.
One question, tonight's meeting of the general calendar, will there be input on those items or do they need to be addressed now or after the meeting?
Right now, we're looking for non-agenda items. We will look for hands being raised during
Okay,
the meeting.
okay. So I do have a non-agenda item I'd like to comment about.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to welcome the new board because there's a lot of new faces on the board. And I'd like to congratulate you on seating on the board and look forward to moving forward. One thing I would like to comment about tonight, however, is I've noticed a lot of these signs that are up in the right of way that say Shop Canton. I know from the past that is a contentious topic, that it violates the sign ordinance. And I think that perhaps could send a bad message to the community there's a lot of people that put out signs all the time on corners for garage sales, yard sales. You know, my personal business was taken to court because of signage. And the sign ordinance was used tremendously in the court case. So I don't know, to just see these signs pop up to say Shop Canton, I know we're in some very traumatic times, but we may want to consider that is a counterintuitive act against our own sign ordinance. And to me, it sends a mixed message. I know it says Shop Canton, but that theme has to go not just when we're down, but when we're up. And it seems to me we're having it both ways. And that's my comment about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McCausland, and thank you also for congratulating the board. I just want to make a quick comment here. On November 24th, the board did relax the sign ordinance because of COVID, so that we can increase the residents going to businesses so they know they're open. And we can talk about it longer at another time also. But thank you.
Thank you.
Are there any other attendees raising their hand? Oh, great. Okay. So seeing no other public comments, can we get a motion to pay the bills?
Madam Supervisor, I make a motion that we pay the bills.
Support.
Great. Clerk Siegrist, can we please have a roll call vote on that motion?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Great, thank you. A motion has passed to pay the bills. Can I please have a motion for the consent calendar?
Madam Supervisor, I move that the board adopt the consent calendar as presented. Item C1, consider 2021 Planning Commission meeting dates. Item C2, establish Board of Trustees meeting dates for 2021. Item C3, consider 2021 meeting dates for the Commission for Culture, Arts, and Heritage. Item C4, consider approval of an amended intergovernmental agreement with Wayne County for the road improvements to county primary and local roads in the Canton Township Millage Program.
Second.
Oh, so we have motion and seconded. Clerk Siegrist, can we please have a roll call on the consent calendar?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Motion passes for the consent calendar. Our first item for the general calendar is item G1. Do I have a motion to consider approval of the 2020 budget adjustments?
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the attached listing of budget adjustments to the 2021 budget.
Support.
So
2020.
motion has been supported. The township adopted the 2020 budget at the November 26, 2019 board meeting, and since then has made various amendments to it. At this time, I'm asking the Board of Trustees to approve the attached budget adjustments to the 2020 budget year. A description of the budget adjustments is explained on the attachments. Director Trumbull, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Would you like me to walk through? There's only a couple of them. Do you want me to walk through and explain them? Would it be helpful? Okay. The first one is on the general fund. So we're asking that the board approve to adopt the general fund amendment for to increase the state shared revenue back up for $620,000. That one, if you recall, back in August, the state had initially indicated that they were expecting our revenue sharing to go down due to COVID. And then just after we amended the budget down in August, they said, oops, looks like the sales tax didn't truly go down. So we're amending it back up to where the revenue is actually expected to end up. So we're actually ending right back up where we initially budgeted for state shared revenue. So that's good news. On the expense side of things, we are increasing the expense for the legal department, the professional fees for the lawyers. So this is our outside counsel within our within our legal department in the general fund. So ultimately, we are decreasing the use of fund balance for $555,000 for general fund. So that's going the correct direction. The next one is in our organized crime, our drug enforcement fund. So this is where we are the fiduciary for a outside entity. They basically pay us to lease a building on their behalf. They reimburse us and then we pay those payments out. So the actual lease payment and communication expenses were coming in higher than initially budgeted, and they are reimbursing us for that exact amount. So it's a wash for us. There's no out of pocket for Canton. This is a bookkeeping item only. The third fund is the Western Wayne Criminal Investigations. If the board recalls, and I know Trustee GANGULY had emailed me earlier on this asking about it. The Western Wayne Criminal Investigations was an organization that we were the fiduciary for many years. I want to say 20 to 25 years we were the fiduciary for that. And Chad, Director Baugh would probably have a little bit more information if there's questions. However, that organization, that consortium that we were part of, that we were the fiduciary of, it was with about 7 other communities. About a little over a year ago, that consortium decided the communities weren't getting out of it what the initial intended purpose was for that organization. And so they decided that to basically all the entities that were a part of it decided to back out of it. So they ended the fiduciary. And there was cash left over. So again, we were just a fiduciary. It was in Canton's money. But after that ended, we had to reimburse all of the communities an equal share of that money for the adjudicated cases as part of this fund. And then there was some money left over for non-adjudicated cases, which went back to the state of Michigan. So the state of Michigan is going to handle the rest of those cases, and however they work out, they'll either return the money to the defendants or return the money to the people who are part of the consortium. So again, this isn't Canton money. This was part of this outside entity's money, and we're just cleaning up the books. This fund, this Western Wayne Criminal Investigations, will no longer be part of the Canton Township's financial statements moving forward. So this is just a cleanup of those items. And that was it for the budget adjustments. So they're pretty minimal at this point in time, but I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have.
Thank you. I don't see any hands. Are there any questions from the trustees?
Not for Director Trumbull, but just a friendly amendment. I think the clerk said 2021 in his motion. So I think this is 2020, right?
Correct.
Yep.
I accept your amendment. My apologies.
Yeah. No
Oh, I'm
problem.
just ready. I'm like, right.
Yeah, that's right. Any chance we get. Thanks.
Any other questions?
Public comment. Yeah, it looks like there is a hand raised.
Oh. Okay, there wasn't.
Go
Okay.
ahead. I have,
Okay, can you hear me?
Madam Supervisor.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. McCausland.
Thank you. I guess I may be a little confused. I was looking to comment on item 4 of the consent calendar. Is that open? Was that open for public comment or no?
No, we didn't. We just read it and then approved it.
There's
Right.
no comment on consent
Right.
calendar.
Correct. And we will be discussing the IGA in item G16, which is at the bottom of. So if you have a comment at that time, you could do it then.
Okay, that's what I'm asking. So I'll wait till then. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other trustee questions?
Oh, I had a question.
Go ahead.
Director Trumbull, the legal, was it 65 for professional contractual services legal? Was that to the legal insurance company that we use?
MMRMA?
Yes.
No, this is not. This would be for legal invoices that our corporation counsel believed that her expense line items for the cases that we're paying outside counsel for were going to come in higher than budgeted. So she had asked for this amendment for the outside counsel. Part of them might have been through, some counsel through MMRMA, but these are actually, outside counsel, not actually payments we're making to MMRMA. It would
I
be like
understand.
executor or other type legal expenses that are coming up.
Okay, excellent. I have no further questions. Madam Supervisor?
She
I
looks
think she's frozen. And yeah. She's frozen.
Okay,
Uh,
I wonder if it's the
she's,
same
No.
lap, she's on the same laptop as the last time.
I think she's on
She
a
has a
different,
township laptop now.
yeah,
She did not have one last meeting?
correct.
Correct.
Interesting. And she's on township Wi-Fi, and clearly that's working for Treasurer Slavens, so curious. At this point, I will entertain a motion to appoint a chairperson pro tem for the remainder of the meeting, and if we don't need it, we'll just
With
let it.
no objections, I move that we appoint Michael Siegrist as pro tem for the meeting.
Did I hear it was been moved? Is there a second?
Support.
Any discussion on the item? Okay, it's been moved and seconded that Clerk Siegrist, myself, be appointed Chair Pro Tem for the remainder of the meeting as needed. Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
I think she's frozen too.
okay, we lost another,
Tanya, are you frozen?
I'm
Sorry.
here. Aye.
okay. Graham-Hudak will wait on. Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
and Sneideman.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. I'm now Chairperson Pro Tempore. There is a motion on the floor. It was moved by myself and supported by Treasurer Slavens to consider the approval of the 2020 budget adjustments. Is there any further discussion? Any further questions? All right. Trustee Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
All right, the motion to approve the 2020 budget adjustments passes. The next item, item G2, requests for approval of reappointments to the Community Development Block Grant or CDBG Advisory Council. It's going to be a one-man show here for a little
I
bit.
was gonna say, do you want me to call the motions, Michael? That's a lot for you to
Feel
do.
comfortable, that would be helpful, and I wouldn't have to
Okay.
toggle between the.
Yep.
Yeah, I will do.
Okay.
Okay, so I move to reappoint Nadeem Siddiq, and I apologize if I mispronounced, and Colleen Conklin to the CDBG Advisory Council for a three-year term effective January 1st of 2021 and expiring on December 31st of 2023.
Second.
Okay. It was moved by Treasurer Slavens and seconded by Trustee Sneideman that we reappoint Nadeem Siddiqui and Colleen Conklin to the CDBG Advisory Council for a term, three-year term effective January 1, 2021 and expiring on December 31st, 2023. Is there any public comment? Oh,
Looks like there
hand
is.
raised from a cellular phone. I'm hoping this might be Supervisor Graham-Hudak. Let's see.
Nope. And Greg has comment.
Oh,
Just let you know that Anne Marie is in as a participant on her phone right now.
all right. I have just allowed you to talk. I will promote you to panelist instead.
She was also going to attempt to, I suggested she just go to Treasurer Slavin's office to sit with you.
That's fine.
And then be able to
Oh,
participate from there. As
it's
another
not
option.
allowing me to appoint a cell phone to a panelist. So that's curious. Now, if I allow you to talk, Supervisor, are you able to speak? If you want to unmute yourself?
Can she unmute herself?
I can unmute, or I will click to unmute. Madam
Hi,
Super-
can you hear me?
We can.
I'm sorry, I am up in my office. I even came up here so this wouldn't happen. This is very strange.
Yeah. So where,
I am sorry.
that's all right. So we entertained a motion to appoint me chairperson pro tem in your absence. That motion passed,
Okay.
5-5. We voted on, currently there's a motion on the floor for item G2. It was moved by Treasurer Slavin, supported by Trustee Sneideman, to make those appointments. And we are at the point now where there was a call for discussion. There was no discussion to be had. So I will.
I just want to say something, Michael, on this. Summer and I met previously on this before this board took office, and I believe, Summer, correct me if I'm wrong, these two had been appointed to the CDBG only very recently, and so they haven't really had time to serve because of because of COVID. They hadn't had many meetings, so we felt it important to reappoint them.
Yeah, Colleen was appointed in February, last February, and she hasn't really had a chance to meet because of the pandemic. So we decided to reappoint her. And Mr. Siddiqui was appointed in 2017, and Finance requested that he be reappointed.
Okay.
So Stephen and I were comfortable with that. And Pat, he was in those meetings.
Okay. So I just want to let everybody know I can't see if anyone has their hand raised either.
You know,
I
Anne-Marie,
will notify you.
if you
Thank you.
want, you can come down to my office and we can put masks on and share the computer.
Okay. All right. I will head downstairs.
All right. Would you, Madam Supervisor, shall I call the roll?
Yes, please call the roll, Clerk Siegrist.
All right. Trustee Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Hi.
and Sneideman.
Hi.
Motion passes. Actually, I'll read the next one, then I'll run down. So basically, do I hear a motion for item G3 to request approval to adopt mayor's adoption agreement addendums?
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the attached MERS adoption agreement addendums.
Second.
Municipal Employees Retirement System, or MERS, our retirement benefits administrator has requested that all employers using their retirement services confirm various benefit provisions. The benefit provision include defining which employees are eligible for the various plans, how many hours must be worked each month to earn service credit, and what wages are included in pension calculations. These addendums are intended to aid and confirm to MERS to assist in calculating the employee's benefits and are not changing the current employees' or retirees' current or future benefits for all of the hybrid and defined benefit pension plans. Director Trumbull, do you have anything to add?
Nothing really. The summary explains it pretty thoroughly. I did inform all of the union group boards, or the presidents of those boards anyways, just to let them know this is on here, to be transparent, so they weren't concerned about any benefit levels changing. Again, nothing's changing. It was just really to confirm when people apply for retirement, they have to verify what kind of all the income and whether it was pensionable type wages or not pensionable type wages. And they also use this information when calculating our actuarial valuations to determine how much they should be calculating for the future benefits for employees. So it's really just trying to help out in those calculations and clarify and confirm the benefits. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Madam Supervisor, I see no hands raised for individuals who would like to make comment from the public. And I see no trust. You have a video. You can see the video of all of us, correct?
I'll get another chair, sorry.
Crazy.
All right.
I can even see there after meeting.
Did anyone have any questions? Love technology. Oh, deep studying. Okay, Clerk Siegrist, can you please call the roll?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman,
Aye.
Do you have the agenda?
I don't know. Here's the agenda.
Okay, great. The next one is item G4. Consider payment of City View annual software maintenance fees.
Madam Supervisor, I move to authorize the payment to Harris Computer Systems for the CityView annual software maintenance fees for a total cost not to exceed $62,961.33. Funds are available in the 2021 budget in the accounts specified.
Support.
Harris Computer Systems charges annual software maintenance fees to support the continuing development and operation of CityView. The $62,961.33 ASM fees covers technical support, application development, maintenance, and upgrades. The cost is shared among the different MSD divisions. Each year, new license files are issued which allow the application to function until the specified expiration date. New license files are issued after payment of the ASM fee. The ASM cost for 2020 increased by $3,243.96, which represents a 5% increase. In the past, this also included registration fees for the customer training conference, but as we haven't historically attended this conference, we eliminated that from our annual agreement to help control the annual cost increase. So Director Smith or Trumbull, do you have anything to add?
I have nothing specific to add. Director Smith may have something specific. For those trustees who were members a year ago, if you recall, a year ago, CityView wanted to pass along about a 7% increase. And we were able to hold that off for a year, knowing that that increase was likely going to come for 2020. So again, in an effort to try to control the cost, the registration fee, they included we were basically paying for registration for our conference as part of our fees, which we decided to eliminate from that. And should we decide to attend a virtual, it's probably still going to be cheaper for us to send one person instead of the 3 licenses they were including in our payments. So we were trying to control the cost from that regard. Director Smith's departments are the ones who primarily use the software, so he may have more to add to this.
Yeah, I can just add that without this particular software, every division within MST uses it, and it really does talk amongst the divisions. And so anything you would want to do in regards to a particular property, this records everything in one program. And actually, we're in the process of tying this into water billing right now too, so we can actually do work orders through CityView. So we're enhancing the software even more than it was in the past.
Okay, great. I don't see any hands raised. Are there any questions among the trustees? Tanya?
So will there be another increase next year for this? So are you anticipating, Director Trumbull, a 7% increase again next year?
I'm not anticipating an annual 7% increase. Last year, they were passing it along because of some of the increased requirements kind of that's out there in the best case scenario, best practices as far as firewalls and security measures that the organization was required to implement. I would expect a normal increase. I think typically the cost increases somewhere between 3 and 5% for pretty much all of our software maintenance agreements. This one, just last year, we were just told very last minute that it was 7%. We said we didn't budget it. You didn't tell us this in advance enough for us to even possibly budget an increase on that. So we were able to hold off for a year. So I would expect it at 5. I would expect conservatively to expect a 5% increase next year.
And so
Again,
this is for the
that's pretty typical with what
2021
happens with
year,
all of
right?
our software agreements.
So this is
Tanya,
for
what
the
did you say?
2021 year? The
1 year.
cost that we are paying, is it for the next year or?
Yes, it's a 1-year maintenance agreement.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other board questions? Okay, Clerk Siegrist, can you please take the roll on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Thank you. Item G5, can we hear a motion on consider increasing PO 2020-1160 to Fishback for the 2020 water main capital improvement project by $12,000?
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the following budget amendment, which is an increase to the PO listed for by $12,000.
The 2018, oh, sorry, Diane, motion and Diane support. The 2018 Water Master Plan identified a number of projects necessary to meet the existing and future water demands of our customers. In addition to the master plan, staff is constantly evaluating locations that are experiencing multiple main breaks in a relatively small area. On February 25th, 2020, staff recommended continuation of the contract for construction management and inspection services to Fishback for an amount not to exceed $73,624 for the 2020 water main CIP. The award in February was based on an estimate provided by Fishback for the work described. There were multiple unforeseen but not unprecedented issues that arose that added to the construction inspection task for Fishback. Additionally, Canton staff added work to the contractor's scope, which added to the workload for Fishback. Director Smith, do you have anything to add?
Not much, other than to say that this area is actually in Glengarry. And this is actually the site for the sidewalk replacement program next year, and the local roads will be improved in that area as well. So some of this additional work and pavement that was replaced would have been replaced next year with the road project. So it really just got moved up a little bit here because they were able to avoid some trees and do some things in the roadway that were unexpected.
Thank you. I don't see any attendee hands. Do we have any board questions or comments? No. So Clerk Siegrist, can you please take a roll call on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G6, consider award of a contract for professional design and engineering services to Wade Trim Associates for improvements at Administration Complex Heritage Park.
Madam Supervisor, I move to award a contract and purchase order for engineering consulting services for the administration complex at Heritage Park, paving and design to Wade Trim and Associates Incorporated in the amount of $41,900 plus a 10% contingency of $4,190 for a not to exceed amount of $46,090.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion and a support. In April 2019, the township retained Wade Trim Associates to complete survey, determine utility locations, and commence a multi-year planning and design for the parking areas in Heritage Park. By early 2020, WTA had completed the survey work, subsurface investigation, and worked with the township to develop the scope of work for 3 projects: the West Heritage Park softball parking lot, Veterans Roadway rehabilitation, and 3, a complete redesign of the Heritage Park golf maintenance building. Due to the onset of COVID and the delayed start to construction in 2020, final design and bidding of this work has been pushed forward until the 2021 construction season. In addition, the township has issued bonds to complete this work. Engineering Services Division recommends awarding the final design project for these 3 locations to our existing design consultant, WTA, in the amount of $41,900 plus a 10% contingency of $44,190 for a not to exceed amount of $46,090. Director Smith, do you have anything to add?
I don't, just to answer any questions if there are any.
Okay, I don't see any hands. Do we have anybody on the board? Stephen?
Thank you. Director Smith, I noticed something about in the background information that it looks like we'll be able to pave some additional areas with this project. And on the second paragraph there, or am I misreading that?
No, so I think you're referring to the part that we're going to actually do in-house. You're talking about projects 4 and 5?
Yeah, 4 and 5.
Yes, so if you remember back with the budget for 2020, we added another engineer to staff. So we were going to start cutting back on some of our professional services. So we're going to take the quantities and some of the design work that they do on the first 3 areas that Wade Trim will be looking at. We're going to apply those quantity prices to these areas and do them in-house.
Oh, okay, great.
But this is all still part of the CIP.
Yep, great. Under the bonding that we did.
Correct.
Yep, great.
Any other board questions or comments? Clerk Siegrist, can you please call the roll on the motion?
Foster,
Okay.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman,
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G7, consider approval of a wage increase for merit full-time non-union employees and elected officials for the 2021 fiscal year. Motion.
Madam Supervisor. This is in the form of 2 motions. I move to approve the proposed recommendation by the Merit Commission, which includes a 2.5% across the board wage scale increase for merit employees for the 2021 fiscal year.
Support.
At the Merit Commission meeting held on December 2nd, 2020, a proposed 2.5% wage increase, which is consistent with other bargaining units, was recommended for approval by the Merit Commission. Under Ordinance 85, the wages and benefits of classified employees shall be recommended by the Merit Commission, but shall not take effect until approved by the Township Board. Okay. Don't see, yes, go ahead. Go ahead, Wendy.
Karen had gotten kicked off and she is now back on, but not a panelist.
Oh, sorry about that.
That's okay.
Karen, you should be appointed a panelist if you. And
Okay.
G7.
We're on item G7, yes. Do we want to read the second motion or ask questions about the first motion?
We have to, there's a motion, it's been moved and seconded, and so there's a motion on the table. It would be appropriate to vote that and then move the second motion.
Okay, I don't see any hands. Do we have any trustee or board comments?
How
Tanya?
often does how often does the increase happen for the, I was just curious to know how often do we do this? Is this a yearly 2.5% increase? I know I saw the Merit Commission minutes and it says they recommended it. And so does this happen every year, or was this the increases for the merit employees?
We bring this item to the board each year. The amount change, the percentage changes each year.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Clerk Siegrist, can you please take a vote on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Okay, can I hear a second motion, please?
So the motion passes.
Motion passes, correct, sorry.
All right, Madam Supervisor, I hereby move to approve the proposed recommendation that elected officials receive a 2.5% increase for the 2021 fiscal year and for future elected officials, wage increases to continue to follow the merit employees across the board annual increases going forward.
Support.
Over the past 4 years, the elected officials have not taken any wage increases, which if compared to merit employees would have amounted to a total of an 8.5% wage increase during that time. The compounded savings to the community due to wage adjustments in 2016 and foregoing any increases over the past 4 years amounts to over $141,000. In the spring of 2020, a wage study was requested by the previous supervisor. A committee was formed to study neighboring community standards on compensation for elected officials. Based upon that study, a recommendation was made to increase the elected officials' salaries by 4.25%. That recommendation was not brought forward or acted upon at the time due to impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. Instead, a decision was made to wait until later in the year and align elected officials' compensation to annual increases for township merit employees. Instead of the recommended 4.25% increase, the elected officials will mirror the proposed merit employee increase of 2.5% and continue to follow the merit employees across the board annual increases going forward. So I don't see any hands, any questions on the board? Nope. Okay, seeing none, Clerk Siegrist, can you please take a roll call on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
Ganguly, Ganguly, Ganguly.
I had a question. Sorry, my headphones are not working properly before you pass the motion. I was just wondering, because this is an increase to the elected officials, I just wanted to find out right now, do we have any employees that are on, do we have any timeshare employees now, or everyone is remotely working from home and everybody is compensated fully for the work they're doing?
We currently do not have anybody laid off, not any of our full-time employees. We have the majority of our employees who can work remotely are working remotely. Those that cannot are still working at their location of operation.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? So Clerk Siegrist, can we redo the roll call?
I think there's one hand up.
There is a public comment.
Yeah.
Are you entertaining public comments, Madam Supervisor?
Yes, we did say we would do non-agenda items in the beginning. So Mr. McCausland, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I would just have one small comment. I think it sets a bad sets a bad tone of the community to see that elected officials would take a raise in this times when we're fighting this COVID-19 battle. Myself and other businesses, we're struggling immensely. And I'm not to say that nobody deserves a merit raise, but I think it's just the timing is just, I don't think it's very conducive to put forward to the public that a raise would be adequate at this time. That would be my comment. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Okay, Clerk Siegrist, can we start the roll call over?
I would just like to make a comment then.
Yeah.
So I understand that sentiment, and believe me, it's not easy to make decisions like this during the time like this. But this board and the previous board has taken over 8.5% essentially wage reduction over the last 4 years. And not included in that actually was a wage reduction in our first year from the previous board before that, I believe it was something like 4%, if I remember correctly. So this board has not taken a raise in essentially 5 years, and it included a wage reduction prior to that. So so I'm comfortable with this proposal. The previous proposal was a 4% raise pre-pandemic, and at that time, this board, the previous board, which 5 members are a part of this board, decided it was not a good time to be doing that as well. The elected officials are the only group in the township that hasn't had a raise in 5 years. So I'm comfortable with it at this time, and I'm comfortable with matching it with all the other employees in the township, both union and merit.
Thank you, Stephen. Any other board comments? Michael?
Yeah, there's a saying I heard when I was on the school board that you can't teach what you don't know, and you can't lead where you won't go. And I think that this board, or the previous board, acted in a leadership capacity. I remember after being elected in 2016, at our first meeting post-election, or our second meeting post-election, we were being asked to give ourselves a raise in 2016, and we voted it down because it felt odd to give yourself a raise automatically, having just been elected and not necessarily earned it, even though the previous board 6 months earlier had voted to cut the wages by 5%. It was okay. We're comfortable doing that, and it felt like the right thing to do. And then as we progressed, we turned down every cost of living and adjustment that was annually provided for all the union employees and the non-union employees. And what's interesting is that over the course of that time, by seeing that 5% reduction and then seeing the subsequent 2 and 3% cost of living adjustments added, very shortly, the full-time elected officials became the lowest paid administrators in the township. And it's just an interesting dynamic when you think about it, especially looking at the supervisor, for example, who's overseeing all directors, right? So I think we want to avoid having, I think it's important to have competitive wages. When we did that study back in the spring, the economy was in full swing. Additionally, when we compared ourselves to similar sized jurisdictions, also jurisdictions, when we looked at their tax base, we found that we were substantially lower than some of our competitive communities. And so the recommendation that was brought forward in the spring was 4.25%. It definitely felt weird to do it. It felt good knowing that we were doing it for the next board. And that was before the filing deadline. That would have allowed people to know, okay, if there's a change in the structure, I can run for clerk, I can run for supervisor, I can run for trustee, knowing that there's going to be this wage increase. If that's something people even think about when they're filing for public office, I don't know. But in the infinite wisdom of the treasurer, and I believe Trustee Foster, asked that not go forward, because that was right around in April when we didn't really, we had been working on it and we didn't know what was going to happen with COVID-19. We didn't know if we were walking into a recession, and our meetings had just started going virtual. And it didn't feel right at the time to bring that forward at our first meeting that was done virtually, and walking into all this uncertainty. And I think that this board has some wisdom saying we don't want to see a 4.25% increase after the election either. So we scrapped that recommendation, and instead we depoliticize this by just tying in the wage increase to the other units that are in the township, knowing full well we're not asking for more, we're not asking for less, and in the future, if there's some type of concession or something along those lines, you kind of tie those two together to create unity and cohesion inside the organization. I think it's the right thing in that regard to do. And I think that how the board operated back in the spring and how the board is operating right now is prudent and responsible.
Thank you, Michael. Sommer, you had your hand up?
Yeah, just want to say really quickly that, over the last 4 years, anytime it's come up on the agenda, I, called the supervisor and said that I was not willing to vote for a wage increase. And for the trustees, for the part-time trustees, a wage increase for us, I think what I figured out would be something like $350 a year or something like that. So it's really a nominal amount for the Board of Trustees. But if you go without a raise for so many years, in order to get back up to competitive wages, especially for the full-time electeds, it becomes quite a jump. So to me, it made sense to vote yes on it this year, knowing that we had gone with that the board had gone without for 4 years. And previously the wages had been cut for the Board of Trustees before the 2016 election. So in order to get to something that's competitive, it made sense to me to vote yes this time.
Thank you, Summer. Any other board statements or questions? Tanya?
Yeah, so that's the reason I asked about the, if any employees have been, working full-time, part-time, or have been laid off during this time, because that was the case in the spring and summer. And right now we have seen that the IT department has worked with everybody to make sure during the shutdown that they are working, people are working from home, so no one is laid off. And I did some research on this, and even though there's a pay freeze in corporations or any other places, there is a cost of living increase that is given to people to go with the inflation that happens. So with the full-time elected officials, they have not taken a pay raise for the last 5 years. I am comfortable with this 2.5 increase. That it's kind of like a cost of living increase in my opinion. So I am comfortable with this, and that's what my comment was on this issue.
Thank you, Tanya. Any other board comments? Clerk Siegrist, can you take a roll call on the motion, please?
Foster.
Aye.
GANGULY.
Aye.
Graham-Hudak.
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens.
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Thank you. Motion passes. Next item, G8. Do I hear a motion to consider the addition of public safety aide position to the part-time wage scale?
Madam Supervisor, I move to add the public safety aide position to the part-time wage scale as presented.
Do I hear support?
Support.
Thank you. Municipal services and leisure services employ at-will part-time seasonal variable hour employees. The wages for these positions are all listed on the current approved part-time wage scale. The police department, through their career development plan, added the at-will variable hour position of public safety aide in 2019. This request for board action is to add the PSA wages to the current part-time wage scale to ensure the PSA rates are clearly identified similar to all the other at-will positions. The PSA wage range, starting wage to step 6 ending rate, that has been proposed for this position is competitive with other agencies and will provide us the opportunity to recruit and retain candidates who have an interest in police or fire careers with Canton Township. Contingent on the approval of this RBA, the new competitive wage range will be added to the part-time wage scale and will be effective January 1st, 2021. The remainder of the current part-time wage scale has been reviewed and will remain the same for 2021. Due to the ongoing impact created by COVID-19, many at-will employees did not work any hours in 2020 or worked very limited hours in 2020. Therefore, the step increases scheduled for 2021 will be limited to the at-will employees who worked a minimum of 480 hours YTD as of November 28th, 2020. Increases, if eligible, will take effect on 1/1/21 or upon return to seasonal employment in 2021. I don't see any hands. Do we have any questions from the board? Green, would you like to add anything to this?
I think you've covered everything. the program for the PSAs has gone very well. In fact, we've had several of our candidates actually move on to the academy or be slated to move on to the academy. So it's kind of a way for us to be able to get a feel for candidates before they actually go to the academy, which gives us a great opportunity to evaluate them and look forward to them wearing our uniform when they come out. So it has been a great program, and this simply just puts the wages on the wage scale so everybody knows what those are. And as we bring them back, the full wage scale to be increased in the following years, they would be included in that process. So.
Thank you. Any board questions or comments? Great. Clerk Siegrist, can you please take a roll call on the motion?
Foster.
Aye.
Canguly.
Aye.
Graham-Hudak.
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens.
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Item G8 passes. Item G9 on the agenda, consider approving the purchase of furniture for Fire Station 2 and an associated amendment to the 2020 fire budget.
All right, Madam Supervisor, I'm gonna attempt to read this as one motion, if I may. Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the purchase of furniture for Fire Station number 2 in multiple purchase orders to ABC Warehouse, Amazon Fire Station Furniture, Gardner White Furniture, Kentwood Office Furniture, Lazy Boy Furniture, Loves Furniture, and Overstock.com for a combined amount not to exceed $56,000, nor a single purchase order over $10,000. I further move to approve an amendment to the 2020 fire budget, increasing the transfer to fund balance, decreasing the transfer to fund balance expenditure account number listed by $20,000 and increasing the capital outlay office equipment and furniture expenditure account number listed by $20,000.
Support.
Thank you. Motion has been supported. The fire department is requesting to purchase furniture for the new fire station's number 2 watch commander and captain offices, sleeping quarters, and day room and kitchen areas. The department has priced out furniture from several local retailers and is requesting to adhere to best purchasing practices when selecting items from the final vendors, which may include ABC Warehouse, Amazon, Fire Station Furniture, Gardner White Furniture, Kentwood Office Furniture, Lazy Boy Furniture, Loves Furniture, and Overstock.com. The combined total of all purchase orders for furniture not to exceed $56,000. Department has $36,000 remaining in the 2020 fire budget for furniture and is requesting an amendment to increase the capital outlay office equipment and furniture account by $20,000 to accommodate this full purchase. I don't see any hands. Are there any questions by the board?
Are there any comments by Director Stoecklein?
Correct. I'm sorry. Yes.
I would just say that this is the exciting part, right? We're getting to the end of the fire station build, and we get to put some new furniture in there. And I know that we're a little bit over, so we're moving a little funds over. We had some extra expenses with the oven, having to go up to a commercial oven. So that was a big part of the expense. But the station's coming along great, and this is part of the fun stuff that we've budgeted for and took into account. So I can't wait for you guys to see it all.
Yes, Stephen.
Thanks, Director Stoecklein. To that vein, when do you expect to be opening the station?
So we are planning on the second week of January, possibly the third week. And that doesn't include tearing down the old station, but we should be able to move in right around that time. So supervisor was out there today to take a look at it, and we will set up a meeting for the entire board to get out there right before we finish it up, just to have a walkthrough so you guys can all see what you guys gave the community and all the firefighters. So once again, we appreciate that.
Good to hear.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, it is great. I did go to see it, and they were showing me some of the conduit that's being moved underneath so we can pull, anything for electric vehicles in the future. So that it is exciting. Clerk Siegrist, can I have a roll call, please?
Foster.
Aye.
Canguly.
Aye.
Graham-Hudak.
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens.
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Williams. Sorry.
Not here.
4 years of habit.
Motion passes. Item G10. Hear a motion, please, and consider waiving the bidding process and approve the sole source purchase of fire decks isolation coveralls from West Shore Fire Incorporated.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve waiving the bidding process to purchase 499 fire decks isolation coveralls from West Shore Fire Incorporated, the sole source provider for fire decks products in the amount of $87,774.10.
Second.
We have a motion and with support. This fire department is requesting to purchase 449 fire decks isolation coveralls from West Shore Fire Incorporated in the amount of $87,774.10. Due to West Shore Fire Incorporated being the exclusive dealer of fire decks equipment, and the department is also requesting to waive the bidding process under the sole source provider exception. Director Stoecklein, do you have anything to add?
So just so that everyone's aware, this is part of the AFG that we received for the COVID supplies. So this will be all reimbursable. And these are those reusable suits that we can give to the firefighters. So I think this will end up giving us about an additional 3 or 4 suits per responder to help us through this, but all reimbursable through the grant. And we just have to purchase it in order to get that money back.
Great, thank you. I don't see any hands. Anyone on the board with questions? Tanya?
Yeah, I have a quick question for Director Stoecklein. So did you purchase with them in the past, in the beginning when you required the gear? Or is this the first time you're buying them?
So we did make the decision to purchase some, and we had the emergency orders in to make some initial purchases on this. And when I filled out the the grant, I was kind of doing a guess of how much I would need in the future, and I ended up putting in for this amount for future purchases. So this is going to add to what we already have. But the nice thing is that those suits are reusable, and we can continue to use them over years and years. So until they get torn or ripped, it's a much better alternative than spending, $10 per suit and throwing them out after every single run. So.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other board questions? Thank you. Clerk Siegrist, can you please take a roll call on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G11, consider approving the renewal of an animal sheltering agreement with the Michigan Humane Society for 2021.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve the proposed contract with Michigan Humane Society for animal sheltering services from January 1 through December 31, 2021, in the total amount of $35,000, utilizing funds budgeted in the 2021 police animal care account.
Support.
Thank you. That's okay. The police department is requesting approval to renew a 1-year contract with the Michigan Humane Society Westland Shelter for the township's animal sheltering needs. The proposed 2021 renewal agreement flat rate monthly fee of $2,795 remains consistent with the previous years for the boarding and handling of animals. Additional specialty service fees as needed are listed in the contract and also remain consistent with the previous agreement. Director Chad, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, just if we can look back into 2014, just to give you a little history here, the contract that we had at that point with Huron Valley jumped up to $78,000 for the year. And this is when we made the switch over to Westland. And it's really the only reasonable location that we could have moved to. So they continue to honor this price point. So just a consideration for the board.
Thank you. I don't see any hands. Do we have any hands on anybody on the board? Stephen?
Yeah, thanks, Director Wall. Just a point of confusion for me is the motion says 35,000, but the summary that the supervisor read said 2795. Is that like some per item, or is it really 35,000 flat fee, and that's what we're talking about?
With the flat fee, it's 33,540. And when you consider some of the potential specialty services in the contract, it's another 14.
Oh, it's a monthly fee. I'm sorry, I gotcha. I just read the word monthly. I missed that. The motion is for annual, but got it. understand. Thank you.
Includes surrenders from the public and our contractor drop-offs. So
So we should mention that for anybody who's watching, but we have that service available to the public.
Right.
Right.
yeah, dogs, cats, and some other animals sometimes are dropped off, either surrendered by the owner, or it could be from the public when they're looking for a place to take the animal for services. And they can always call their dispatch center. We can help them.
Thank you.
Are there any other board questions? Okay, Clerk Siegrist, can you please take a roll vote on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G12. Consider approval of a purchase order to Partners in Architecture for the restroom remodel designs and resilient floor design in the capital improvement plan.
Madam Supervisor, I move to approve a purchase order for the Summit Resilient Floor and Summit Heritage Park and Pheasant Run restroom remodels, architectural design within the capital improvement plan to Partners in Architecture at 65 Market Street, Suite 200 in Mount Clemens, Michigan, 48043, and an amount of $23,900 to be paid from the following CIP accounts. $17,182 from the 401-757-970 20 account, $3,840 from the 401-752-970 20 account, and $2,878 from the 401-773-970 20 account.
Support.
Thank you. We have support. Canton Township currently holds a service contract with Partners in Architecture, PIA, for assistance in general architectural design of Canton-owned facilities. Leisure Services staff is recommending PIA for the architectural design of restrooms at the Summit on the Park, Heritage Park, and Pheasant Run, as well as the design of resilient flooring at the Summit as part of the capital improvement plan projects. The cost for capital upgrade designs for all projects is $22,900, with an additional $1,000 for contingency for reimbursable costs totaling $23,900. Let's see. Director Greg, would you like to add anything? Oh, you're on mute. There you go.
Nope. If there's any other questions, this is part of the CIP and just the overall design for all these products. It was bid with several different architectures earlier in the year. We got pricing from the two contractors that we awarded to earlier in the year, so we felt confident that EIA will be a good architect for these projects.
Thank you. I don't see any hands. Do we have any board questions or comments? Nope. Thank you. Clerk Siegrist, can you please do a roll call vote on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G13, consider approval of amended agreement with Kickers of Canton LLC for restaurant operations at the Canton Sports Center for 2020 only.
Madam Supervisor, I move to authorize a waiver to the guaranteed minimum amount of $80,000 paid to Canton Township from Kickers of Canton LLC.
Support.
Kickers of Canton LLC is the current provider of restaurant operations at the Canton Sports Center and has done so in an exemplary manner. Due to COVID-19 pandemic and Canton's decision to delay opening of the Canton Sports Center in summer 2020, Kickers management was unable to open their business until July 31st, 2020. The delay in opening resulted in a 4-month loss of season for the business this summer. With the loss of business this year, Kickers is asking to waive the minimum guaranteed amount due to Canton of $80,000. Leisure Services is recommending the waiver be granted for 2020 with their normal percent of gross sales to still be paid. Would you like to add anything, Greg, Director Hohenberger?
No, basically, they are going to pay us, they're proposing to pay us under this agreement, modified agreement, the same commission that they would normally pay us based on gross sales, but waive the guaranteed minimum due to the lack of business for several months throughout the year, and including right now, they are basically shut down because there's no in-person dining as well.
Okay, thank you. Diane?
I have a question. I don't know if it's for Greg or Wendy. I know, businesses are really struggling now, but didn't we waive this maybe a year or two ago for kickers? It seems like we did. Maybe it was in 17 or 18.
I would have to double check that, but I don't recall that we did. I would have to double check, but to my recollection, we didn't. I don't know if Director Trumbull has a different recollection.
I don't recall anything specifically going to the board. I just know from looking at the general ledger from a couple years ago, we did not have the minimum $80,000 recorded as revenue, but I don't remember. I don't know the specifics behind that or if it went to the board. I don't recall going to the board, but I wouldn't say that it didn't go to the board. So I'm not sure what happened that year.
Okay.
The year that they did that, they were paying the guaranteed minimum over maybe that's what it was. They were paying the guaranteed minimum from the prior year over a 4 or 6 month span the next year. That could be what it was. I do recall that they were making payments in the following year to meet the guaranteed minimum to the prior year. So that could be it.
Yeah, and maybe during a study session or something, it would be nice, with some of the buildings that we let others use, to do a true cost analysis, just to make sure that, we're not using general dollars to subsidize. So, I'd like to, and I'm sure we'll have a future study session with some of these, because, I'm all about helping businesses out, but I also want to make sure we're utilizing our funds,
Certainly, I can put together a synopsis of that from prior years and show their funding and send that to the board. And I do believe, if I am correct, their contract is up at sometime towards the end of 2021. So that would be an opportunity to restructure their contract or do an RFP at that point, should we choose to do so.
Are there any other board questions?
Yeah. How did they do after they opened? I know we had some programs going on there, so I'm sure their business was still down some. But.
Yeah, that's correct. Their business was still down because we did not. Their 95% of their business comes from leagues and programs that we're offering at the sports center. They don't receive a whole lot of just general folks that are looking for a place to have dinner on a Friday night, because the majority of the time we have so many teams and leagues in that facility. So their business and revenue was reflective of our reduced business throughout the year, but we did have a fairly good response once we were able to open. So basically what they're saying is, we're going to pay you the percentage on what the business that we did do, but they're hoping to not have to be held to that guaranteed minimum because they weren't able to open for several months and they're being closed right now.
In a normal year, would they be open in the off season in the winter?
Yes. Yes.
Oh, they do.
Would normally be open. Typically this time of year, their prime business is holiday parties for small businesses and sports teams.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other? Wendy, go ahead.
I don't know if this helps answer Stephen's question, but the year-to-date revenue, it looks like that was probably what they've paid us through October, is $33,000. Typically we're around 80,000, but that was because, obviously they've been closed, but it's 33,000. Last payment we received was in November. So I think that was probably for revenue they collected through October would be my guess.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board questions? Okay, Clerk Siegrist, can you please take the roll call vote?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G14, consider approval of amended agreement with two youth sports groups, Greater Canton Youth Baseball and Softball Associates and Canton Soccer Club.
Madam Supervisor, I move to authorize waiving the guaranteed minimum amount of two youth sports agreements group for 2020, which includes $10,000 by the Greater Canton Youth Baseball and Softball Association and $20,000 by the Canton Soccer Club.
Thank you. Canton Leisure Services works directly with identified youth sports groups. Can you hear me?
I
think
think Diana supported it.
Oh, she did. Oh, I didn't hear her.
It got 2 supports. It was that.
Dueling supports. Canton Leisure Services works directly with identified youth sports groups in the Canton community as partners to ensure programming and administrative standards are upheld at superior level for over 6,000 participants and families. Two youth sports groups were critically affected by COVID-19, which greatly reduced their opportunities for play. Due to the loss of fields and programs this year, each of these youth sports groups are requesting to waive the minimum guaranteed amount due to Canton by $10,000 by Greater Canton Youth Baseball and Softball Association, GCYBSA, and $20,000 by the Canton Soccer Club. Due to the hardships created in each organization's inability to generate the proper revenue, Leisure Services is recommending the waiver to be granted for 2020. Director Hohenberger, do you have anything to add?
Just that they were obviously significantly affected by the mandatory shutdowns with the COVID protocols that were out there this year. So they were at soccer. Their primary revenue source is the Canton Cup that happens Memorial Day weekend. That did not happen this year, and GCYBSA had a very abbreviated season with a smaller fall season, but no spring and summer season. So they would be in a very difficult position to be required to make these payments this year. We did not. On the other side, we're not. It was not necessary for us to provide the same level of work and maintenance that we typically would do. So their funds that they submit to us are to offset our expenses. And while we did have some for GCYBSA, it was nowhere near our typical levels of maintenance that we provide to these programs.
Thank you. I don't see any hands. Or do we have any board questions?
Just a real quick question. So the 10 and the 20, does that go towards maintaining the fields? Is that what those?
It's basically to offset our maintenance expenses for additional mowing as well as chalking, lining of the fields for staffing that we would not have otherwise. So we had some of those expenses for GCYBSA and soccer, but nowhere near what we would typically have in a given year.
So those dollars go towards maintaining those fields?
Absolutely. And our overtime is dramatically lower this year, partially because of that.
Do we have any other board comments or questions? Okay, Clerk Siegrist, can you please, Tanya?
So this is, I don't know if it's the question for treasurer or to the finance director, but do we know how much costs were reduced because of this? Like, because they didn't play, because sometimes when we are giving them this fee waiver, do we know how much cost that we didn't have, or how much cost reduction we had for this? Anyone can give me an estimate, or we don't know it yet?
Looks like Director Trumbull is frozen right now. I don't have an exact number for that, but I could certainly provide that to the board. But I can assure you that our overtime expenses at this point throughout the year have been dramatically lower than we typically would have throughout the year. Typically, this part of this agreement is that we provide multiple cuts for the soccer club throughout the year. Earlier in the year, in the spring, there were times earlier this year that we were not cutting Independence Park at all. And we assure them of a certain length of the grass for games. And they were not having games at all, and we were not cutting at all. So that's directly correlated together as to why we would recommend waiving these fees.
Okay, thank you.
Director Wendy had been frozen. I think she was going to respond and she froze. Did she appear in attendees?
Not yet.
Yeah, she just texted and said she's trying to get back on.
Okay. I know. Do we want to wait a moment for her response?
Well, I'll ask a question then. So Greg, will these two organizations pay anything, or is it a full waive of their fees?
This is a full waiver of their fees.
Okay.
And baseball started in August this year, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Much reduced schedule, but yes, they did.
Hello, Director Wendy, you popped back in.
Sorry, I started talking and I was like, oh, everybody's frozen. Oh, that's probably me getting kicked off. If there's any questions, I'm happy to help. I assume it got handled though.
Just
go ahead.
No, go ahead, Supervisor.
No, I didn't. Go ahead, Stephen, if you want the question answered.
Oh, no, the Trustee GANGULY asked if you could identify expenses that were associated with these two groups.
I think the majority of the expenses, at least, Greg can speak to more of what the purpose of where the fee came behind the agreement amounts that we're asking to be waived. So the extra costs that the soccer club, for instance, the soccer club was paying was supposed to be like the extra mowing. So would mow the parks once a week, but to get them mowed a second time a week, that was kind of the extra that we were doing on behalf of the club. But, we weren't really, for a while, we weren't mowing even once a week when everything was shut down. So like Greg had pointed out, the overtime costs are down significantly. So I can look that up pretty quickly right here in the year to date budget to actual. Greg, do you want to speak to the GCYBSA, or did you already speak to that?
I kind of spoke to the similar type of items where it's direct expenses that we incur, that these funds are offsetting expenses that we incur to support their programs. And because their programs were significantly reduced, we did not have those expenses.
So for example, in the parks budget, we had $123,000 budgeted for overtime costs for this year, and year to date, and this is through our last pay date. So last week, we had $35,000 worth of expenses. So we're about $90,000 under budget for that line item for this year.
Right. Thank you so much.
So hopefully that helps. You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions? Okay, Clerk Siegrist, can you please take a roll call vote on the motion?
Foster.
Aye.
GANGULY.
Aye.
Graham-Hudak.
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens.
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G15, consider approval of bid award and purchase order to Universal Laundry Machinery for turnout gear, washer and drying cabinet.
Madam Supervisor, I move to award the bid and approve a purchase order to Universal Laundry Machinery at 38700 Webb Drive in Westland, Michigan, 48185 for turnout gear, washer and dryer cabinet in the amount of $34,299. to be paid from the account number listed for capital machinery and equipment.
Support.
Thank you. On November 5th, 2020, an invitation to bid ITB was advertised for the turnout gear washer and drying cabinet for equipment at fire stations 1 and 3. One bid was submitted from Universal Laundry Machine, quoting in the amount of $34,299. Therefore, we are recommending Universal Laundry Machinery for the turnout gear washer and dryer cabinet at fire stations 1 and 3 in the amount of $34,299 to be paid from account number 206-336-50970-0030 capital machinery and equipment. Director Hohenberger or Stoecklein, do you have anything to add?
This is just replacing the one unit at Station 1 that's over 20 years old, like they said. And then we are putting another set out there at Station 3. And so this is all part of lowering the carcinogens and reducing the cancer for firefighters so they can get that gear washed and back into service quickly.
Okay.
Nothing else further to add from my end. Director Stoecklein is certainly significantly more qualified to speak on this item than I.
Okay, I don't see any hands. Do we have any board questions or comments?
I'd just say that it's interesting, the delineation here that Chris is responsible for the lounge chairs and apparently Greg is responsible for the laundry. So I understand. Yeah.
Not bad, huh? I got the good
Glad you
end.
see where the world.
That's right. Chris, you're living the high life.
That's right.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you. Clerk Siegrist, can you please take the roll call vote on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
Ganguly,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman,
Aye.
Motion passes. Item G16, consider an amendment to the intergovernmental agreement for Wayne County Health Department Drive-Up COVID Testing Center.
I'm going to do this in one motion. Madam Supervisor, I move to waive the bidding process per the purchasing policy and amend the scope of work within the purchase order that was approved on the November 10th, 2020 board meeting to Danjo, construction to Heritage Park improvements, signage and cones in the amount of $24,043, and move to authorize the township supervisor to sign the amended intergovernmental agreement with the Wayne County Health Department.
Second.
Thank you. The board approved an intergovernmental agreement at the November 10th, 2020 meeting to allow the Wayne County Health Department to use the Canton-owned Western Wayne building to facilitate drive-up COVID testing and vaccine distribution. After further review, it was determined that the Western Wayne building located at 44582 Gettys Road, Canton, Michigan 48188 would no longer be an acceptable location for the site. Therefore, we are recommending to amend the intergovernmental agreement IGA to change the location to the Heritage Park North Pavilion lot located behind the administrative building at 1150 South Canton Center Road, Canton, Michigan 48188. Additionally, Wayne County agrees to reimburse the township up to $24,043 to be used for resources necessary at this new location. Director Hohenberger, do you have anything to add?
Just like to say the modifications that came out today were mild verbiage changes between Wayne County's legal department and our legal counsel with Kristen Kolb. Nothing substantive to the actual agreement, just some minor verbiage changes. The additional piece was adding a second motion to this agenda item to change the scope of the purchase order that was approved at the prior meeting to allow us to use that for general Heritage Park improvements instead of just paving improvements. We did not bid those items for a couple of reasons. One, the timing of getting this item up and running. We want to get this up and running as quickly as possible. And two, the difficulty in this not being a designed product or design project, we had the contractor come on site, work with them, and had them kind of do a design build proposal for us. We have a lot of history with this contractor. They're a general contractor that does much more than just paving. So we're fairly confident in the scope, and additionally will be reimbursed by Wayne County for these expenses.
Thank you. I do see a public hand for Mr. McCausland. Did you have a comment on this item, or did you want to, we can have you with follow-up public comment, or was it this particular item?
No, I'll follow up public comment because it pertains to the roads, the interlocking agreement with the Wayne County roads.
Okay, so we can follow up with that with public comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any board questions or comments? Summer?
Just a logistical question. How do you envision that we are going to be able to do both the testing and the vaccines behind the administration building? Is there going to be like two separate lines or two separate areas for folks to go to?
So certainly we will, we've talked with Wayne County about that. What we will be doing is testing initially and then converting to the vaccine once they have the vaccines. We may, depending on how it all rolls out as far as when they receive the vaccines, it may be that they receive an influx of vaccines on a given date, and we say from for 2 or 3 days, it will be vaccines only. And at that time, we would not do any testing, and then convert back to testing for a week or two until they get additional vaccines. But if they have a consistent flow of vaccines, we would convert to just vaccines only at that time. So it's kind of dependent on how they receive the vaccines, and it'll be modified as they receive those vaccines. They're quite unsure at this point exactly how that's going to roll out. So it'll kind of be a on-the-fly decision.
Okay, thank you.
Director Stoecklein, did you want to add to that? Because I know you are doing that, the operational part of it.
So yeah, like Director Hohenberger said, we most likely will be doing separate testing and vaccinations. We do have the capabilities of doing them both at the same time. If we need to, we can set up some testing towards the back there, but it's all going to be drive-through. We'll be able to get the cars through there. You know, like you said, he's working with the signs, the county, and emergency management manager Will Hayes. He's also on the line here if you guys have any questions for him, but he's really the heart and soul of setting that up with the county as far as making sure that we're going to be running smoothly and be able to adapt to the conditions that we're going to see. And like we said, we're talking about 600,000 doses initially in Wayne County. We don't know how many we'll see here in Canton. So even on a best day, they're talking about maybe 100 doses a day, because it's very, you know, time consuming to get all the information from the patients and get those vaccinations done. So there's still a lot of logistics to work out on that, but this is the main thing, so that we can get this testing started and be prepared between now and the time that those vaccinations come out.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tanya?
Yeah, Director Stoecklein, you said 2 weeks ago when I asked, you said like it's going to start in 2 or 3 weeks. Do we have a timeline on when the testing will begin?
So the county is saying that as soon as we can get this set up, we can begin the testing. So it's just a matter of getting the building or the facility back there prepped and ready to go. And once we're ready to do that, this delayed us a little bit by moving this, obviously, and getting this this agreement reached. So once we get this reached, we'll move right into testing very quickly. The county's very much on board, and they want to get as much testing facilities up and running as possible.
Okay, thank you.
Any other board question? Greg, go ahead.
Yeah, just as a side note on that as well, the county, I anticipate from the last I've heard from my contact with the county, is that they are approving this agreement today or this evening with their commission as well. So hopefully within the next day or two, we'll have this fully executed, this contract, and be able to get up and running as as soon as they're able to get on site.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments by the board? So Clerk Siegrist, can you please call a roll call vote on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
Siegrist, aye. Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman,
Aye.
Motion passes. So we're going to follow up with public comments. Any other public comments? Mr. McCausland?
Yes, thank you. I've been attempting to speak to this for over a month, but there was some technical difficulties at the last meeting and I wasn't able to get connected. This refers to the interlocking agreement between Wayne County and Canton Township when it comes to paving roads. I have a huge problem going on right now. 20 years ago, I purchased 42863 Cherry Hill Road to build my mother a new home at 42875 Cherry Hill Road. Over the course of time, there has always been a question about the drainage and the ditch in front of the home. Over the course of 20 years, I was always told that upgrades were coming when the road would be improved. So for the last 20 years, I've maintained that ditch at my own cost, my own standards, my own labor, my own disposal. This year, I was very disappointed to find out when I was finally provided to be able to see the blueprints when the construction had already started, that there indeed was not going to be any upgrades to the ditch in front of those two homes. However, other culverts in the vicinity were being covered and piped. So when I reached out to the engineering department, they told me that's all Wayne County. There is no liaison or person in Canton Township that could listen to the citizens. So I contacted Mr. Pat Williams. Mr. Williams gave me to Miss Melissa Daub. Miss Melissa Daub gave me to the Director of Department of Public Services. So I was run around for the entire summer and was battling with the contractor who came out of the right of way, damaged the driveways, attempted to put a sidewalk in where there was no other sidewalk, trespassed on the private property, removed the irrigation system, tore the tree down, broke everything in sight, and then just abandoned the work. And nothing was ever finished. Left the mailbox laying in the driveway. If you go by there today, there's a mailbox in a bucket that I had to place because we had no mail service there at that home for the entire summer. When they left the mailbox lying on the ground. They never replaced anything. I've been trying to contact anybody from Wayne County, but here's my point. Why do we as a community let the county come in and take control of our roads, our properties, and our livelihood as homeowners, taxpayers, and members of this community where we have no say? We have no point of contact in Canton Township. We have nobody to go to. People up and down that road are all furious. Some people put their home for sale. I went to the Wayne County inspector on site and he said to me, it looks like a good time to sell. I said, wait a minute, what's your role here? He says, I'm just sitting here. So there's no go-to person. And if we're going to be into this agreement with Wayne County for this long term, how is somebody supposed to protect their property from this type of things happening? So now there is a ditch that is wider, deeper. It's going to have no maintenance on it for the next 20 years. The whole front yard is tore up where they abandoned the project and Wayne County doesn't care. Melissa Daub says, I don't know. I have emails that I could provide you that I sent them. And there's no accountability. Haven't we learned as a community that working with the county needs oversight? So I think going forward, we have to have some kind of liaison, be it through the engineering department or some department in Canton Township where we just cannot let Wayne County come through and hope they're going to do the right thing. Because 9 times out of 10, their track record has proven they do not do the right thing. They do the minimum, not the maximum. So I'm reaching out to say, look, we need some help here. We have I strive to keep that property pristine. My mom is an avid gardener. She's 91 years old. It just troubles her every time she looks out the front window and she asks me daily, are they ever coming back? And I say, I don't know. I don't know. So at this point, I'm reaching out to anybody to say, look, what do we do in this situation? How can we get this rectified?
Okay.
And that's my statement.
Thank you, Mr. McCausland. Yes, it is. Your mother does have a beautiful garden. I have seen it. So we will, why don't you call up my office tomorrow and we can talk some more, okay? I'm sorry, did you hear me?
I've disabled his ability to speak.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, do we have any board comments or questions? There are directors? Anything? We've gone through the agenda. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Well, I would.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Because I live right around the corner from that property, when I saw that the yard, it looked like they were going to put in a sidewalk, I got excited because it would connect with the ITC eventually. But and in fact, I was driving into work just yesterday and I saw a woman with a stroller and a smaller child trying to walk down Cherry Hill Road at that parcel. And they widen the street and there's no shoulder anymore. So it's very dangerous walking. And I watched this lady pushing a stroller at that period. And it made me really nervous for her and her child's safety. And I would hope that in the future we might be able to acquire sidewalk right of way for that parcel of property, the neighboring parcel of property, connect that with the ITC trail because it's a very dangerous part of the township where there's really no pedestrian traffic that's done in a safe way. If that means we have to help out on that ditch, because I've also seen a substantial amount of flooding on the ITC right next to that parcel of property in the springtime. My goodness, it turns into a lake. Anyway, so.
Okay, go ahead, Diane.
Okay, I just, before we wrap up, I just wanted to let residents know, Township Hall is closed. And when we had sent the focus out, we had written that we would make appointments. My office is so busy. If I were to have everybody come in to pay their taxes and water bill, it would defeat the purpose of everyone trying to stay safe. So we are opening 2 days. It'll be Wednesday, the 23rd and Wednesday, the 30th from 2 in the morning from 10 in the morning till 2 in the afternoon. We will require we're going to screen people coming in. You'll have to wear a mask, and we do require that people be 6 feet apart. We need to have social distancing during collection of cash. So for people who want to pay cash, we will be open the last 2 Wednesdays in December for cash payments. A lot of people love to have their receipt stamped, and that's wonderful. If you want that, you can put it in the Dropbox or you can mail it. We will stamp your receipt and mail it back to you. Just put a note in your bill that you, in an envelope, stamped envelope, that you want a stamped receipt, and we'd be more than happy to mail that back to you. Our goal is to keep everybody safe, and so limiting the amount of traffic that comes in the building is important. A lot of staff is working from home. We do have people here in the Township Hall, but we want to limit the amount of people that are here to keep everybody safe. So I just wanted to, I'm getting calls regarding people wanting to make appointments. And because there's so many people that want to make appointments, we're opening it for 2 days for cash collection. And for all those folks who like their receipts stamped, just let us know, put an envelope in with your bill, and we're more than happy to mail that back to you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Diane. Any other questions or comments? Greg, go ahead.
I'd just like to let the board know we had a fantastic weekend with our holiday walks in Pheasant Run. We had a significant wait list to get people in. We tried to accommodate as many people as possible. Last I checked, there was over 50 families trying to get into our holiday walk. So that was an extremely well-received event. COVID has certainly challenged us to stretch our creative boundaries, and many of these programs will extend into future years, including our holiday walks through Pheasant Run into the future. Our golf continues to be extremely successful. We've been very fortunate with golf or with our weather this year. Last year we shut down in early November at Pheasant Run. We're still continuing to invite people out to Pheasant Run as long as the course holds up and we don't get any significant snow. We'll continue to do that. So please come out to Pheasant Run. And then we're just wanted to let the board know we are having significant discussions about Liberty Fest 2021 and what we want to do with that program. We'll need to likely make decisions no later than March in terms of whether or not we're going to have a full Liberty Fest, a modified Liberty Fest, or no Liberty Fest, or postpone Liberty Fest. There's several options that we are considering with that. So just keep that in mind and please be thinking about that as we're moving forward. Typically by the end of December, we will have had all of our contracts for entertainers and service contractors in place. We have not begun that process because we're just unsure of where we're going to be at. So that'll be something we'll need to be considering fairly soon. I know Liberty Fest happens in late June, but we will, there's a lot of planning that goes into that event. So we'll need to make some decisions over the next couple months as to what the direction of that program will be for 2021. I'm certain by 2022, we will have a full Liberty Fest with our full complement of people out in the park enjoying fireworks and entertainment and carnivals and other entertainment for Liberty Fest 2022.
Thank you. Director Bao, you want to talk about what some of our policemen have been doing?
Yeah, you know, with all the stories, negative stories over the years, this past year and COVID, it's really, you know, harness what we can do is with our community engagement team. We still were able to get out. And most recently, we were able to help a stroke victim in our town clear their property. We adopted a number of families working with Leisure Services with donations from Target and our Canton Benevolent Fund. We also were able to help a displaced mother provide some food for her child and have childcare for at least the next month. We've been handing out gift cards from Antonio's just randomly to our citizens. We had a homeless person in yesterday. We were able to help him out with some food and help find some placement for him. Working with Leisure Services, Santa program, bringing the police to the homes of these children or locations for these children that, you know, their families have been very much impacted by the current times. Working with Leisure Services again, we have a program called Be a Model Man. We've been invited by Leisure Services. It's a spinoff of Lead Like a Girl, so that's working out very well. Also, you know, we had the Indian farmer protests and our engagement team was able to assist with that. And that really turned into what I've just learned. They said 800 cars were involved. So that was successful. Another example of, you know, supporting our First Amendment rights here in the township. So thank you for all that participated with that.
Yeah, thank you very much. It is good news. Anyone else have anything to say or add? Tanya?
I had a question for Director Hohenberger. In the past, when like, you know, the summit during the holidays, we used to have, you could sign up to make, you know, a gift purchase for, they used to have those, you could sign up to buy a gift for a family for the holidays. Are we doing any kind of program like this year or something online?
Yeah, so that was through Goodfellows that we typically did that, and they did their gift drive through gift cards this year.
Okay.
They were collecting gift cards and they actually had their collection and distribution last weekend. And it was very successful. But should anyone want to contribute to that program, I'm sure the good fellows would be happy to take additional contributions to that program.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? Great. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
I second that.
Clerk Siegrist, can you please take a roll call on the motion?
Foster,
Aye.
Graham-Hudak,
Aye.
GANGULY,
Aye.
Slavens,
Aye.
Sneideman.
Aye.
Keep you on your toes.
Well, thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone, and stay safe.